ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शांति शांतिः। नमस्ते साई राम मेरे प्यारे दोस्तों, माय डियर फ्रेंड्स। Today I am going to give you a video on Sai Gita, video number 15. In the last video, the last paragraph, Baba was explaining was about truthfulness. So he said, in the beginning, by adhering to truth, you may be put to a lot of trouble. In spite of the trouble you encounter, if you pursue the path of only telling the truth, eventually this truthful nature will fill you with joy and happiness and give you success in all your endeavors. Therefore, it was to promote the happiness and welfare of mankind that in the Gita, Krishna taught that one should always be truthful. He proclaimed that truth was life's royal road and that the path of truth was the only way to foster right conduct in society. Now, Dharma is changeless, but its practice changes in each age. Sometimes it has been said that righteousness has declined and that the Dharma has diminished. But that is not correct. Dharma is based on truth. Truth is absolute. It can never undergo change or be diminished. However, in any particular age, the practice of Dharma may undergo change. God incarnated as Krishna not to re-establish Dharma but to re-establish the practice of Dharma. Dharma never left, nor did it ever change, but it was out of use. The seven facets of Dharma have been present in all the past ages. However, each age has had practices most appropriate to that age. For instance, in ancient times, when spiritual awareness was very high, the appropriate spiritual practice was meditation. In the age in which Rama incarnated, the most appropriate practice was penance and sacrifice. In the Krishna era, the practice was ritual and ceremonial worship. And in the past 5,000 years of this present materialistic age, in which spiritual consciousness is at a low ebb around the world, the chanting of the holy name is the most appropriate practice. But just as in the earlier ages, there were also many believers who practiced the repetition of mantra evoking the name of God. So also in this age, there are people who take to meditation. There are people who take to doing penance, and there are people who take to ritual worship. But the principal practices depend upon the general character and mood of the times. Different practices give different forms, so to speak, to dharma. but the inner flow of dharma is always the same. Truth will never change. Truth is always one, never two. In all the three times, past, present, and future, in all the three worlds, earth, heaven, and the nether world, in all the three states, waking, dream, and deep sleep, and in all the three worldly qualities, passivity, activity, and equilibrium, truth is always one. Since truth is one and the very basis of dharma, dharma cannot change. It never wavers or undergoes any modification, but duty and practice will undergo intermittent change. For example, take a person who is doing a job. How long will this job be his duty? Until he retires from that particular job. Until then, he goes to the office every day. Once he retires, his duty changes. After retirement, he might get involved in doing business. Then he says that pursuing his business is his duty. In doing business, he may be tempted to gain some extra profit by taking to underhanded methods. He may try to earn money through lying and cheating. Even though he may have now taken to lying and cheating in order to earn money, he will still consider the work he is doing as his occupation and his duty. When so many changes can come about in duty, how can it be described as dharma? These changing activities that occupy your time in the interest of providing for your living needs cannot automatically be described as dharma. Duty becomes dharma when it shines with the virtues that make up the facets of dharma. Not harming others is dharma. There is a simple meaning to the word dharma. All those actions which do not come in the way of others, which do not impinge on the freedom of others, can be described as dharma. Here is a small example for this. You are holding a long stick and playing with it, moving it this way and that, and at the same time you are walking down a main street. This street is a busy public thoroughfare. You may feel, I have every right to move wherever I want. Well, if this is your right, then the person who is coming in the opposite direction has every right to save himself from being hit by your stick. You are indulging in an activity which is likely to put other people walking on the street in danger. However, correct conduct expects you to act so that you do not interfere with the freedom of other people walking on the same road. If you can conduct yourself in a way that is not detrimental to others or that does not impinge on their freedom, then you are behaving according to dharma. Later, we will take up Krishna's teachings in which he points out that merely refraining from doing harm is not enough. You should also be friendly and compassionate to all beings, but if at the very least everyone to consider it their duty to conduct themselves without causing any harm to others, then there would be peace, prosperity, and joy aplenty in the world. Acting in this way is your real duty, a duty which has to be performed for the sake of setting an example to others and for upholding the essential ideals of dharma. Social duty, obligatory duty, and family duty. In your daily life in the family, there are three types of duties which may be considered to be three aspects of dharma. There is social duty, there is obligatory duty, and there is family duty. These duties express themselves in different ways. First, consider an example of social duty. Assume that tomorrow is Sunday, which is a holiday for you. You may want to invite some people to come to your house for tea. Suddenly in the night you develop a fever. While you are sick, you realize that if you were to invite your friends to visit the next day, you would not be able to receive them properly, and so it would not make you or them happy. Therefore, in consideration of your obligations to your friends, which you would not be able to perform while sick, you decide to postpone the tea party. On the basis of the change in circumstances and your consideration for your friends, you change the tea party to the following Sunday. You are free to make the arrangements that fulfill both your wishes and your social obligations. Next, consider an example of obligatory duty. Let us say you are a lecturer in the university. In connection with the upcoming examinations, the department head has directed that the whole teaching staff of the department assemble for a meeting. As this is an important department meeting, you will have to attend. Even if you are suffering from fever, you take some aspirin pills and go to the meeting. This is an obligatory duty and you have no right to cancel this. The scheduling of this meeting was not in your hands, and once it has been called, you are expected to attend. Now consider an example of family duty. You are in your own house. There is a small family quarrel between husband and wife. Inside the room, the husband and wife are having a tiff. This is very angry. She is very angry. Suddenly the doorbell rings and he goes out to answer it. He finds that a co-worker had dropped by for a casual visit. As soon as the husband sees the visitor, he greets him with a smile and a fond hello. He asks the visitor to be seated. With the visitor he is quite cordial. When he enters the bedroom and tells his wife of the visitor and finds that she is still very angry with him, he may resume his stern tone. But as soon as he goes into the other room to meet the colleague who has come by, he carries on with his friendly conversation. It is his duty to protect the good name of his family by conducting himself in such a way that an outsider would not know that he had quarreled with his wife. If a person who is angry with his wife inside the bedroom comes out into the living room and irritatedly asks the visitor to leave the house, then the guest will be appalled. It is important to see to it that the secrets and confidence of the family are not thrown out into the street. This is an important duty of a family man. He must be very vigilant to protect the honor of his family. If by his indiscretion the family honor is destroyed, then there will be no happiness for him or his family throughout their lives. Sense control is the key to doing your duty properly. To protect the good name of your family, you must remain alert and aware of others' needs. This requires sense control. If you do not have sense control, as was explained in a previous chapter, you become arrogant. One who is arrogant and devoid of sense control is nothing but a demon. If you want to practice and protect dharma, you have to develop sense control. For everything worthwhile in life, sense control is very important. Krishna said to Arjuna, Arjuna, be a wise man and have complete control over your senses. Do not obey the fickle cravings of your senses. The senses must be under your control. You should not become a slave of your senses. Make them your slave. Be their master. It is only when you have mastered the senses that you will have earned the right to be close to the one who is the originator of all the senses and has complete dominion over them. In the second chapter of the Gita, all the qualities of a wise man have been explained. Of all these qualities, sense control is one of the most important. In this chapter, we have been exploring some different aspects of Dharma which can be seen like the rays of the sun to have 7 colors or facets. As has been pointed out at the beginning, this sunlight of Dharma contains the rays of truth, character, righteous behavior, sense control, penance, renunciation, and non-violence. You must make all of these your own. Try to understand the meaning of these Gita teachings and practice them in your daily life. It is Swami's wish that when you have taken so much interest in studying these teachings, that you should also evince the same degree of interest in practicing their meaning and thereby acquire all the good qualities that are conveyed by them. Kindness and compassion, the mark of a true human being. Love all, do not harbor enmity or hatred towards any being. The divinity in all its fullness resides in the heart of every being. This is the basic teaching of the Gita. Embodiments of love. Whenever you hate someone, it is really God whom you are hating, for God is installed in every being. Whenever you criticize or admonish someone, it is the very Lord whom you worship that you are criticizing or reviling. The same Lord is the resident of all hearts. This awareness of the divine essence in every being is the basis of the teachings of universal brotherhood that have been given in the scriptures of India since ancient times. The unity of the self, the one Atma existing everywhere. The Gita proclaims that the divinity is present everywhere and in everyone as the all-pervading reality we call God. But the Gita declares an even higher stage than this. It teaches not only that God is everywhere, but that the inner truth behind the I that you refer to when speaking of yourself is your immortal self, your highest self, one and the same with God. And that highest self in you is also the highest self of everyone. It is the Atma, one with the divinity. In essence, you and everyone and everything are God. Therefore, in addition to teaching the unity of God expressed through universal brotherhood, the Gita also teaches the unity of the Atma, the one self existing everywhere. The Gita shows that the Atma, which exists as the true self in you, exists as the same self in all other human beings and in animals and birds and every other kind of being as well. Just as the Gita instructs you to regard happiness and misery as equal, so also it instructs you to recognize the one Atma as existing equally in all beings, whether they are humans, animals, or plants. You must have the conviction that right from microscopic creatures and insects up to the Creator, the same divinity exists uniformly everywhere. That is why a great poet, brimming with devotion, sang, "O Lord, you have been living in the ant as well as in the Creator. You have come as Krishna and Rama, but truly you live in every form. I see you everywhere in every being I encounter." harmonization of thought, word, and deed. Today, human nature is such that when you see some ants and roaches, you don't mind killing them. At the same time, when you go into a temple and see an image of one of the forms of God, you pay homage to it. You act differently in the two situations. Even when you know and profess that the one God is present everywhere, saying one thing and doing the opposite is a common disease of humanity today. That's why instead of attaining the status of a Mahatma, a divine being, people have not risen very far above their lower natures. The Gita teaches truth in action, which is the harmonization of thought, word, and deed. This is the real mark of a human being. It is in this way that you manifest your divine nature in everyday life. Develop your faith and see the same divinity existing in every living being. Spread your love, which is the very essence of your divine nature and the divine nature of all living beings. Look upon every person with compassion and love. Unless you adopt this approach in your dealings with others, all your spiritual exercises will just be a waste. Worshipping God while harming your fellow human beings can never take you to your goal. The Gita teaches that man himself is God and that God is man. This unity of God and man has repeatedly been emphasized in the Gita. Only the one who treats all alike is a true human being, Krishna proclaimed. Whatever education you might have acquired, if you do not have human kindness, then all your schooling and accomplishments amount to nothing. Kindness to all living beings is one of the most important virtues of a human being. You have to use your discrimination and discover how to develop this kindness and apply it in your daily life. Kindness to living beings refer to looking after people and other living things which are in distress and going to their rescue. You have to make the necessary efforts to reduce their pain, their sorrow and their troubles. It is no use to repeat love, love, love an endless number of times. You have to act with love and kindness in everything you do. Kindness must be an integral part of your life. You have to believe that kindness is the same as a divinity. You have to believe that the heart which houses kindness is the temple of God. Kindness is that hallmark of a true human being. There are a number of weaknesses that have invaded human beings. As a result, they lose their innate kindness and become cruel. They behave more like wild animals dwelling in the jungle. But clearly this is not the true nature of a human being. It is the very opposite of humanness. The very word human or human is used to denote kindness. Of all the different flowers of devotion, God accepts the flower of human kindness with the greatest love. Offering ordinary flowers and worshipping God with the ordinary thoughts and intentions that accompany them will not evoke the love of God. That will not please Him, nor will He accept such offerings. What offerings will God accept? What does He appreciate? He will accept the flowers of human kindness, the flowers of love, the flowers of compassion blooming in your heart. How should you express this feeling of kindness? It is not enough for you to just do some good. You must transform your heart. There must be a leap of faith. You must develop a deep-seated belief in God's omnipresence. You have to live the conviction that the same God exists in every heart. Then you will be able to recognize others' pain and sorrows as your own pain and sorrow. Here is a small story. In a village there lived a couple who had a young daughter. It was just a small family of three. It was not a well-to-do family. In fact, it was a very poor family. But poor as they were, these parents decided to provide a proper education for their child. There was no school in the village in which they lived, so they had to send their child to a neighboring village. She had to traverse a forest every day to go to the village where the school was. City people might be afraid of walking through a forest, but villagers do not mind. It is a part of their daily life. So this little girl spent her time going to the school in the neighboring village, learning her lessons there and then coming back home in the evening. A child suffused with the nectar of human kindness. Although the way in the forest, a small shelter had been erected to provide rest for wayfarers. One day, when passing by, this girl found an aged man in the shelter. He appeared to be undergoing some suffering. She realized that he would not be able to reach the next village where he could get medical help and protection. Because of want of food, his body had become weak, and as she passed by, she could see that his condition was not good. Daily she had been carrying some food for herself, and from the next day onward she gave this food to the sick man, who continued to lie in that small shelter in the forest. Every day in the morning on her way to school, she would leave the food, and then in the evening she would collect the empty food container on her way back home. After 10 days of ministering to him in this way, he regained some strength. One day, as she was coming by on her way home, he took the hands of this little girl and asked her, "Dear child, you have been giving me food every day. Please tell me where this food is coming from. Do your parents know that you are bringing me food every day, or are you taking it from somewhere without their knowing it? Is this perhaps the food that has been provided for your daily lunch and you are giving it to me instead? Tell me what you are doing. Please answer my question," she replied. "Honorable sir, I have been brought up to take things only with permission, and I can assure you that my parents know of my bringing food to you. Ours is a very poor family and we have very little money, but still we have been able to manage to provide food for ourselves and those in need. So I have been bringing food from my family especially for you." He asked her, "But if you have so little money, how are you able to buy this food?" She replied, "Beyond here in the forest there is a fruit-bearing tree. On my way I collect fruits from that tree and I sell them before going into the school. With the little money I collect, I buy the food. The next morning I prepare it and bring it to you." The old man was overjoyed at her sacrifice and her intelligence and straightforwardness. He questioned her further. "How did you get such a noble mind?" she said. "Whatever good I am able to do is because of the upbringing and teachings given to me by my parents. As long as I can remember, my parents have been telling me that we must share with others and serve others. Ours is a very poor family, yet we always try to help others. We feel very blessed when we have the chance to do so. It gives us so much satisfaction." In this way, she told the sick man a little bit about her family and then went home. Gradually, the man recovered his health and was able to walk to the village where this girl and her family lived. What was the result of all the kind actions directed toward the sick man by this Sweet little girl. The man told the family how he had been praying to God, "O Lord, give health and prosperity to the parents of this girl. When I was sick and helpless, I could not be of any use to the world. Now I am much better and can be helpful to others. I pray to you out of a heart filled with gratitude to bless this family." In this way, he shared with them his prayer that God bless families such as these who generously help those in need. Then he left. God showers his grace on those who have kindness. Whatever this girl did in this way of kindness, she never expected any reward for her actions. Without expecting any result or any fruits, she had faithfully been serving the sick man every day. Now God showered his benevolent grace on her. One evening the Lord came to that house with a chest full of gold and asked, "Is this the home of the child who has given so much food and water to one in distress?" The Lord continued, "It was I who assumed the form of the sick man who languished in that shelter until your little girl came and took care of me. Now I am leaving this gift so that the child can grow up and become highly educated. I lived in that shelter for 10 days to test this girl. This child's heart is very sacred and pure. It is full of kindness. Her heart is my dwelling place, my own temple." He handed over the chest to the parents, telling them to use the money to secure her happiness and prosperity. But the parents were not overjoyed at the prospect of getting such a large amount of wealth. They fell at the feet of this divine person who had blessed them with his visit. They said to him, "Revered sir, we do not have any need for so much wealth. Wealth beyond one's own capacity is harmful. It can take away one's peace of mind. It can increase one's ego and make one forget God. We do not want so much wealth." But having blessed them, the divine visitor disappeared, leaving the entire treasure there. This person who came was not merely a great man. The family members recognized him as the Lord himself. Without keeping the money just for their own family, they used it for the welfare of the whole community in which they lived. They asked everyone to conduct themselves in the belief that present in every being is the full manifestation of God. They showed by their own lives how God could be obtained by expressing love and compassion and kindness to all beings who were in need. You should not narrow your belief in God by thinking that He exists only in a certain place. You have to experience God everywhere. How will you be able to develop this feeling? God exists both inside and outside. If God exists only inside, inner purity would be sufficient. As God exists externally as well, external purity is also required. Therefore, since God is both inside and out, you need to have both inner and outer purity. Only then will you be able to become fully aware of the omnipresence of God. Inner and outer purity. What is the meaning of external purity? Of course, external purity means keeping the body pure and wearing clean clothes, but it means much more than that. The place where you live must be kept clean. The books which you read also must be clean and wholesome. Be it your body or your mind, you should not allow dirt and bad qualities to accumulate. The statement that you should take a daily bath means that every impurity in body and mind has to be cleansed. Where dirt accumulates, germs will gather and bring on disease. Therefore, do not allow impurities of any kind to remain on you. Every day in the morning you should brush your teeth and also clean your tongue. Let there be no impurity in the main entrance. Whenever there is some dirty water outside, mosquitoes, worms, and undesirable bacteria will soon fester. In the same way, wherever there is some dirt in your body, all the germs and insects are likely to accumulate. Not merely that, in the surroundings of your house, you have to keep everything clean. There is a saying, look at the house and you will know its resident. In other words, the cleanliness of the house is a reflection of the cleanliness of the indweller of that house. This principle of cleanliness is meant for your own good, whether it be the house or its surroundings. If everything is kept clean, you will be happy. You have to keep yourself and everything around you clean and orderly in order to enjoy good health. When you have good health, you will remain happy. You may have only 2 sets of clothes, but when you wear one, you should make sure that the other is clean. Then afterwards you can wear the second set, cleaning the first. Actually, there is no need even for having 2 sets of clothes. Just the one may be worn every day as long as you keep it clean. Whatever you have must be kept clean. Do not allow yourself to become dirty. But just cleaning the exterior and wearing clean clothes while keeping the heart impure is not of much use. You have to make every effort to achieve inner purity as well. For this purpose, you need to keep all your thoughts and feelings sacred. Let your thoughts be directed toward the service of others. Do not allow jealousy or hatred to enter into you. Always try to develop feelings which are full of joy. There is no need to bother yourself unnecessarily about others' affairs. Just always think good of others. In this context, the ancient teachings declare, let the whole world be happy. To promote universal joy and well-being is the basis of the spiritual teachings and the object of all spiritual practice. Therefore, the sacred name of God should be continuously contemplated upon so that it purifies your heart. Only when you take proper care to maintain inner and outer purity will you be able to prevent the entry of impure thoughts and harmful qualities and such as jealousy and hatred. Conquer your inner enemies. Prahlada, the great devotee of the Lord, declared that only when you conquer the inner enemies can you be considered truly great. He told his father, the demon king, you are only a king now, but if you can overcome the inner enemies that have invaded you, then you can become a great emperor. These inner enemies, including such evils as hatred, greed, pride, and jealousy, make up the delusion that besets human beings. You should never allow these inner enemies to enter your heart. If you keep them out, you will be free of all difficulties and problems. To achieve that, you must treat joy and sorrow, profit and loss, heat and cold as all the same. When you develop such equanimity, these inner enemies will not touch you. But it will be difficult to treat joy and sorrow, misery and happiness as equal unless you are firmly established in the belief that God is dwelling in every heart. When you recognize that, then all the pairs of opposites will have been conquered and they can no longer disturb your equanimity. Then you will be immersed in divine grace, and no matter how unfavorable may have been your fate, the hand of destiny can no longer touch you. When you have the firm belief that the same divinity exists in every heart, then every obstacle is overcome. When you have full faith in the indwelling divinity, then anything and everything becomes yours. That faith is the key. It is the very root of spiritual life. Catch hold of that. That is your goal. If you need to fell a tree, it is not necessary to first cut away all the branches and leaves. Cut the trunk and the whole tree comes down. Once you gain hold of the divinity, everything come under your control. To do the welfare of others suffuses your every action of your life. And also you must develop both inner and outer purity, keeping both body and mind sparkling clean. Only then you will be able to recognize the divinity that is ever present everywhere. You need to realize that when in your devotion you pray to God and offer Him your obeisance, it is the same God who is dwelling in every heart. So you must be very careful not to criticize others. You must develop the strong conviction that any criticism you direct towards another being will go straight to God residing in that heart. The two banks of the river of life. Life may be compared to a river. If you allow this river of life to proceed unchecked and unbounded, you are likely to destroy many villages. You have to take whatever measures are needed to see to it that this river remains within its bounds and reaches the ocean. It is only the ocean which can bear this river and absorb it. How to make this river of life reach the ocean? In the Gita it has been said, you must have two banks constructed. When the river has two banks, it can safely go on and reach the ocean. What are these two banks for the river of life? They have been described as two powerful mantras. On one side you have a mantra which says, he who has doubts will perish. On the other side you have a mantra which says, he who has faith will attain wisdom. So the two banks for the river of life have to do with renunciation of doubt and the bosoming forth of faith. When you have these two banks channeling your life, you will reach the goal and merge in the ocean. This teaching given by Krishna is the very essence of devotion. It enables you to reach the ocean of infinite grace. The three principles that take you to your divine goal. Krishna said, child, that ocean of divine grace is the goal of mankind. It is the ultimate goal of all life. Don't forget that goal. Don't believe in the world and don't be afraid of death. But never remember the divinity which is the very reason for your having taken birth. These are the three principles I give you. Never forget God. Never believe in the world. Never be afraid of death. Take these three and inscribe them in your heart. Always remember them, for they will sanctify your life and bring you to me. Never forget God. Never believe in the world. Never be afraid of death. Fearlessness, seeing the oneself in everyone. Fear arises when you see another as separate from God. But when you know that the one divinity is the basis of all you see, then fear leaves you forever. Once you become established in that awareness of the divinity being everywhere, in everyone and in the everything, then you are permanently freed from the spectre of fear. Embodiments of love, you must be firmly grounded in the belief that every name and form that can be found everywhere in the universe is only a combination of the five elements, and that the foundation of these five elements is always God. Then fear cannot gain a foothold within you. Divinity is the basis for everything. Everything without exception is made up of the same five elements. There is nothing else to be found in this manifested creation. There is no sixth factor at all. Consider some of the objects you see in this room. Here is a table, here is a chair, and here is a podium. Over there is a window and a door. For all these different objects, the difference consists only of separate names and forms. The content, which is wood, is the same in all. Similarly, mountains are rocky, trees consist of wood, earth consists of mud, the body consists of flesh, the ocean is made up of water. These are all different names and forms, but in composition they are all just combination of the basic 5 elements. These 5 elements are 5 aspects or reflections of the one divinity. It is their divine basis that illuminates them and gives them their existence. Except for these 5 reflections of divinity, there exists nothing else in the whole universe. In all these 5, the divinity is the same. It is one. Beyond it, there is no second at all. When you know this without a doubt, then you will have no fear. Of all the great virtues, fearlessness occupies the place of primary importance. It is the ideal virtue. Unless you have fearlessness, you will never be able to live comfortably. Be it in the secular field, in the battle of life in the world, or be it in your struggles in the realm of the spirit, you must never leave room for fear to creep in. It should find no place in your life. When you are obsessed with fear, you will become extremely timid. You will not be able to accomplish even the smallest job. When you are filled with fear, you cannot shine in the world. Therefore, the Gita taught that you must become totally fearless. Fearlessness is beyond body consciousness. Fearlessness is not just the absence of fear. Both fear and the absence of fear are associated with body consciousness. Absence of fear can sometimes be foolish, such as when the body is threatened with harm. But fearlessness is beyond body consciousness. It can be experienced only when you recognize the truth that the one divinity resides in full measure in every heart. It is said that a person charged with fear dies every step of the way, while a fearless person dies only once. Therefore, Krishna told Arjuna, give up your fear and become completely fearless. Only a fearless person can achieve victory in great undertakings. A person who is truly fearless will have detachment from all the objects of the world and be saturated with the love of God. On the other hand, one who is egoistic about his body and his worldly accomplishments will be charged with fear. Attachments to the worldly objects and egoism will never be entertained by a person who is free from fear. In the epics, you will find the story of a demon king who was charged with fear, whereas his sons were completely fearless. The king had placed his trust in the world. The son Prahlada had placed his trust in God. The boy's teachers went to the demon king and said, Sire, your son is not afraid at all. However much trouble we give him, he never complains or cries about anything. Rather than shedding even a single tear out of personal hurt, he constantly praises the Lord and sings endlessly of the Lord's glory and magnificence. Why was the boy free of fear? It was because he had the firm faith that there was nothing else in the world except God. This conviction endowed him with unshakable fearlessness. In another ancient classic, we find a guru commending his disciple on his fearlessness. The teacher said to his disciple, Janaka, who was a great emperor and yogi, I am very pleased with you. You are now totally freed from fear and you need never again worry about anything. You have kept your heart entirely absorbed in the Lord. You are existing only as an instrument of God in the world, serving Him in everything you do. You have no attachments at all to the objects of the world. You believe that everything in the world has the form of God and is imbued with divinity. Wherever you look, you see only unity in the diversity that others see. This awareness has made you totally fearless. Fear of death, the most powerful of all fears. Of all the fears that haunt humanity, the fear of death is the strongest. No matter how courageous and valorous you may be, no matter how highly educated, no matter how much you may be blessed with unlimited wealth, no matter what great talents and skills you may possess, the fear of death will be lurking in the background, annulling all your accomplishments and destroying your self-confidence. Most people become subject to despair when they see people dying. The moment they hear of someone's death, they consider it very inauspicious and try to close their ears to it. Even when they are over 100, they get frightened when they think of death. They always want to live just a little bit longer, but however much more anyone may aspire to live, death is certain. The fear of death will not save you from death. Distracting the mind by dwelling on the transient joys of life will not save you. Your relations and friends cannot save you. Your great accomplishments cannot save you. All the objects in the world and all the people in it are equally washed away by the flow of death. What profit is there for you to take shelter in those who are also being washed away? The person who is seeking protection and shelter and the one from whom shelter is being sought are both being washed away. Only when you catch hold of the divinity, which is the immovable bank of this river of death, can you nurture any hope of being saved. When you truly know that all there is the divinity, then there is nothing to fear. When you are saved, you will have conquered the fear of death. Fearlessness may be compared to a great mountain, while fear is something like the small waft of air created by your breath. Can this little current created by your breath ever shake such a mighty mountain? Of course not. The little wind of fear can never shake the great mountain of fearlessness. When this steadfast and unwavering mountain of fearlessness becomes implanted in a mind that is clean and pure and free of delusions, and when it resides in a heart that is immersed in bliss, then you are veritably expressing your divine nature. Then the truth will be established in your heart of hearts that there is only the one divine reality existing everywhere. Once you know this well-pervading divinity to be your essence, you laugh at death, for then death no longer has any power over you. Why should anything ever frighten you? What can possibly make you afraid? Death is really just a kind of joke in this play of life. If the role calls for you to fall and die on the stage, will you, the actor, be affected? What is so earth-shaking about the death of a body that is bound to die? The body, which is made up of the 5 elements, has to be destroyed someday. For the sake of such an impermanent thing, why should you worry? Arjuna, you are not the one who is going to kill, nor will those you fight be killed. The only thing that can be killed is the body. You are the immortal self. You are not the body. This is the truth that Krishna taught Arjuna and thereby made him fearless. Fearlessness is a quality that is as vital and as important as your life breath itself. It is the foremost of the virtues taught in the Gita. Fearlessness is the very nature of human being. In truth, human beings are divine and fearlessness is their very nature. It is the deeper meaning of the word human. Human refers to your divine essence. Here is a story to illustrate how human beings are not living up to their divine nature, but in their actions have become worse than animals. Once there was a fearsome forest, and living in this forest there were a large number of animals. In most forests where there are lions, there will be no elephants, and if there are elephants roaming about, then there will not be any lion. But in this forest, there were all types of animals: lions, elephants, jackals, dogs, donkeys. The whole animal kingdom was present there. One day a clever fox thought to himself, human beings boast that there is something special and unique about human nature. They say that it is extremely rare and difficult to attain life as a human being. But human beings are born the same way that we animals are born. All these beings are born from the womb of a mother. The question is, why are we all lumped together and called animals, while human beings are singled out and called humans? In what way are we inferior to them? The fox weighed all the various arguments and counter arguments to this question that was perplexing him, and he resolved to prove that there was no distinction between humans and animals. From that day onwards, he started airing this problem to all the denizens of the forest. He sought out their animals and said, "Why should we accept the present state of affairs? People are considering animals' life as inferior to human life. We should take steps to reverse this erroneous belief." In this way, he began to encourage all the animals living there to think about this issue and get excited about it. He showed how these false beliefs had been taught and accepted by all the animals, even by the mighty elephant who was stronger than anyone, and the dauntless lion who was their king. The grand meeting of all the animals. The fox resolved to have a very big meeting of all the animals to discuss these points and frame some resolutions on which they could universally agree. The name proposed for this meeting was the Great Gathering of the Four-Footed Ones. It was decided that on a particular day at a particular time, all of them would come together in a big open area and assemble for this special meeting. Initially, 3 agenda items were agreed upon. The first was that human beings, just like animals, are born from the womb of a mother. Therefore, there should be only one name, both for humans and animals. Either humans should be called animals or animals should be called humans. But there should not be 2 different names and 2 different titles. That was the first resolution they wanted to pass at the meeting. The second agenda item was that animals had been called unwise, while humans claimed to be endowed with the wisdom. But animals should not accept this. In what way do humans have superior wisdom to the animals? The fox was particularly insistent on this point. He asked, "What is this wisdom that man has that we do not have?" We have to firmly resolve that there is the same wisdom in both humans and animals. The third agenda item that the fox proposed was, humans are considered to be talking animals, whereas we are dumb. That is considered to be a very great disadvantage to us, which they claim makes a big difference. But even if we are dumb, what is it that we are lacking? By having learned the ability to talk and by possessing that skill, what is the extraordinary happiness that the humans have attained? Let us propose that talking and dumbness be considered more or less the same. Then there is also a fourth point we should consider, the fox added. Humans being think of us as being restless and excitable, whereas they consider themselves to be calm and peaceful in nature, but none of us should agree to this. The peaceful nature that we have, even man does not possess. We deserve the reputation and recognition that we are far superior in serenity to human beings. They all agreed that these 4 points should be discussed in the meeting, but then they wondered whom they should ask to preside over their meeting. The fox pointed out that there were a number of great sages who had been doing penance in the forest. We should select a very highly accomplished sage to preside over our meeting, he suggested. They all agreed and resolved to send the fox to find a wise man whom they could trust to be true and just, and requested him to chair their meeting. After a long search, the fox came to a cave in which he saw a sage engaged in penance. His instinct told him that he had found the right holy man to their gathering. He reverentially approached the sage and prayed to him, Swami, in the kingdom of animals we have decided to have a very important meeting and we request you to preside over it. The sage, who recognized everything as the living divinity, said, all right, I'll be happy to come and preside over your meeting. So in a vast open field they arranged to have their meeting. In the forest, every animal from the smallest to the biggest came with all their children, and many brought their grandchildren also to attend this important meeting. They were all in very high spirits and extremely happy to take part in such a grand meeting, and they all showed a great deal of respect for their president. A high platform was provided for the president. Just beside the chair for the president, a chair was provided for the lion. The sage presided over the function was also in very good spirits and was not in the least bit afraid of the lion who was sitting next to him. This sage recognized the existence of God in every living being. Therefore, he was full of fearlessness. Once all of the animals were seated, there was a need for properly welcoming the august assembly. The secretary for this great meeting was the fox. The fox began his welcoming address. Revered President, Your Excellency the King, honored minister, dear brothers and sisters, this day is a day which will be written in golden letters in the annals of this great forest and all its denizens. This is an unforgettable day which will never be forgotten in the whole animal kingdom. For today we will achieve a grand success in this most important meetings for which we have all assembled. In coming together here, all you have all made some notable sacrifices. You have given up a great number of activities and have made time available in your busy lives to participate in this meeting. So in the very first place, let me express my deepest gratitude to all of you. Then the secretary went on and explained the items on the agenda. As soon as the agenda had been presented, the lion got up and addressed the vast gathering. In what way are human beings better than animals? The lion told them, you have all heard what my brother has said to you. I want you to know that the great qualities you have, like value or courage, humans do not really have. I myself am a direct proof of this. If you consider the courage and value, the magnificent prowess and strength which I have, where will you find any human being who is my equal? Though I am king of the animals, I never take any wrong or unjustifiable actions. Without reason, I do not kill animals. Only when I am hungry will I take a little food. I do not kill any animal for sport. I never waste any food. Consider our craze, our code of ethics, our high level of morality. Can you find such great qualities in human beings? No, they don't have them at all. Therefore, why should we be afraid of them? Why should we be thought of as inferior to humans? Today, let us resolve to wipe out this blot on our reputation. When the lion finished his address, there was an uproarious cheer and the applause resounded throughout the entire forest. When things quieted down the elephant who was sitting just by the side of the lion got up and said, "Humans are not even half as big as my leg. In form I am certainly mighty and magnificent. In intelligence I have attained proverbial greatness. Kings, emperors, distinguished leaders all have developed great regard for me. If ever a coronation was to be performed and I were not there, it would have to be postponed. When I am so great, how can you say that humans are superior to me? My intelligence is extraordinary. Therefore, even if you consider just these two, my intelligence and my physical size, you must conclude that humans can never be equal to me." Again, the audience cheered their agreement. The fox got up and said, "The lion, our illustrious king, has just talked to you, and the big elephant, our distinguished minister, has also spoken his mind. Now we would like to invite a representative of the smaller animals to come and address." All this pointed dog, who had strayed into the forest and who had many experiences with human beings, was asked to speak to the gathering. It offered its humble salutation to the president, to the king, to the minister, to the secretary, and to all in that great throng who had assembled there. Then it said, "Although I am very small and weak in faith, there is no one that can be compared to me. I have unwavering faith and unlimited loyalty to the person who has brought me up and who looks after me. I will always be grateful and faithful. Even if I lose my life, even if I am hurt and harmed by my master, I will not return the harm in kind." Everyone knows that human beings do not have this sense of loyalty which a dog has. In this quality of loyalty, I can never be considered inferior to human beings. Among themselves, humans often give trouble to the ones who most lovingly take care of them and guide them, such as their own parents or their teachers. Humans will not hesitate to do bad in return for the good which is given to them. They will criticize and concoct schemes to deceive and hurt the very ones who have looked after them so carefully. Humans do not have any gratitude at all. They do not have any loyalty. Only so long as their purposes are being served will they pretend to be obedient. The moment their own selfish interests have been taken care of, they start troubling their own teachers. When humans are like this, how can we be considered inferior to mankind? There was complete agreement in the audience. A nodding of heads and sounds of "hear, hear" affirmed every point the gentle dog had made. In this way, one by one, others got up and had their say. Appropriate to their status and experience, they gave speeches extolling the many fine qualities practiced by the animals but which were being ignored by human beings. Finally, there was the speech of the president. So I will stop the video here. It becomes long. I will continue with the story. So thank you, my dear friends, for watching and seeing this video with patience. Please like, comment and share and subscribe my channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar. Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram.